Lieutenant? That's quite a change.
Oh, yeah. That's my wife. She made me wear it. Well, she's so excited. I wondered, would you mind, could I introduce you to her?
Certainly, but we're going to have to make it quick, Lieutenant.
Yes, sir. Gee, she was here a minute ago. That's all I heard on the way over. Oh, I know. Probably in the ladies' room. You know how women are. They always want to look their best.
When you find her, you bring her over to the table. I'm looking forward to meeting her. Something wrong, Lieutenant?
Well, it's your shirt, sir. It's so perfect. There's not a wrinkle in it. What'd you pay for that?
I don't know. Maybe $300.
Just for the shirt?
The starch was extra. It's Italian.
Well, that's amazing, sir. Now, this shirt I got on, it traveled just as far. It only cost $29.95. It's Korean.
Welcome, Columbo fans. This is Steve.
And this is Sean, and welcome to episode 10 of the Columbo Confab podcast. How you doing tonight, Steve?
Doing great. I was wondering, I have a really quick request. I was wondering if we could make tonight's recording really quick because I have to get back to Blockbuster to return a movie. It's called Holly Does Houston. I just need to get it in. I don't want to get that $1 extra charge.
Okay,
fee,
no problem. I also have a movie I need to return. It's called Blank Tape. For those of you who are in the know, we are going to talk about Caution, Murder Can Be Hazardous to Your Health from the 1990s, starring George Hamilton as a murderous television host.
So yes, when we announced that we were going to watch this next, and knowing that George Hamilton was going to be the murderer, and the title, Caution, Murder is Hazardous to Your Health, I thought that Hamilton was going to be some kind of like health nut, health guru, because, he's a thin guy. He's known for always having a tan. So I thought he was going to be some kind of, health person.
Well, that's interesting because I think that people who watch this now, especially younger people, may not get the reference in the title because back when this was made, and like back in the 80s, that was the standard warning on every packet of cigarettes. So that's interesting. You didn't connect with cigarettes at all?
Not at first, no. But obviously, at one scene where we when the camera views in onto a packet of cigarettes, I'm like, oh, right. But it did make me think, when did they start doing that? Start putting the caution on cigarettes?
As far as I can remember, they did it. And then at some point, I think maybe in the early 90s, maybe mid-90s, they started changing them up. Like smoking could be hazardous to pregnant women, and it wasn't always the same thing. And if you go out of the country, like in Thailand, and you buy a pack of cigarettes, they actually put pictures of people with lung cancer or infected lungs or something on there. It's really gross. Fortunately, I don't smoke anymore, although I kind of want to smoke and watching a little bit of it.
Yeah, after watching tonight's episode, I bet you kind of do. I always like how when I was watching a film recently, and there was a lot of smoking in that too. And the guy who does the sound effects of the tobacco burning,
yes.
And it doesn't sound like that in real life, but I guess they do it because it just sounds nice. And it is a nice sound.
Absolutely.
I used to smoke in college. I was about a pack a day back then. So I don't smoke anymore. But man, watching this episode really kind of put on the wants for something like that.
So this opens as quite like the last 90s episode that we watched. Murder with Too Many Notes. It opens with a fake opening, which I specifically remember watching this the first time ever, and when it came out, the commercials emphasized two things. Number one, it was about smoking. Number two, the murder had to do with the fact that the guy was in a porno. And that was the hook to get people to watch, which probably worked.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but it opens with this stupid sequence from this crime show, which is basically...
It was... And it seems so fake, too. And I mean, now we know why. Now, 3 minutes into the episode, you find out why it seemed so fake. But, yeah, I was watching and I'm like, what is going on? This does not feel like Columbo.
And would it be awful if they turned out to be the Columbo murders? Because they are not Columbo murderers, that couple. Although they do generate a really good laugh for me later on in the episode. But so we have George Hamilton, who is basically Robert Stack.
Yes. Yeah. And the name of the show, Crime Alert, I was thinking Unsolved Mysteries.
Yeah, totally.
The whole time.
Totally.
If we ever finish the Columbo podcast, we're going to move on to Unsolved Mysteries podcast.
When I was a kid, the opening of that show scared the hell out of me.
Oh, yeah, it was great.
That and, like, Tales from the Dark Side.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one, too.
Yeah, and Doctor Who. And I think I was too old to be scared by the X-Files opening, but if I was young enough... But the thing to know about George Hamilton, that what they established very quickly, is that George Hamilton loves himself. In fact, I'm willing to bet that every night that Wade Anders goes home, he masturbates in front of a mirror. Because one of the first lines he says is, "The studio brass is in love with me." Well, that's not quite how George Hamilton talks. But the man, in every one of his offices, and he has like 2 or 3, there is a huge picture of himself. At the studio, there is a wall-sized portrait of himself. He is so in love with himself. But anyway, he thinks he's going to be a big star, but somebody has other plans.
Apparently the broadcaster on the evening news originally wanted the crime show, Crime Alert. We don't know exactly what George Hamilton, or I should say Wade Anders, what he did. They called it a Hackett job. Or hatchet job on him, so he wouldn't get the lead host job. Yeah. So we don't know what that is, but yeah, there's some animosity between Wade and Bud. Right. Bud's the evening guy.
But Bud doesn't do. Okay, so he finds out that Wade was in a porno flick. Okay. So he doesn't do though like what. That fella did there with Alex Brady. He doesn't, bring it to him and say, "I'm going to go to the police with this or the tabloids with this." Well, he couldn't.
He just should have done that. I don't know why he just didn't do that.
Yeah. He could have lived, but instead he just decides to blackmail him. Says, "Oh, leave the show, and I'm going to try to take your place." Which, okay, so he has to die.
I don't know what was the ultimatum there. I don't understand. Why did he tell him? Was that ever explained? Like, his ultimatum was either you leave. I guess admirably, and leave on your own, or I'm going to release this.
Yeah, that was it. But there was no guarantee that Bud would get the hosting job once Wade Anders left, which I don't understand. He certainly didn't have the same charisma that George Hamilton did, because I don't see that guy. I mean, he was like a drunken Leslie Nielsen. He didn't come across as quite the same.
A mean drunk Leslie Nielsen.
Yeah. Oh, he was a douche. He was someone I could easily see killing.
Okay.
Every time.
I will say this: certain murderers in these Columbo episodes, you do feel sorry for them because of the situation they're in. Sometimes they commit the murder out of desperation, or they just it was just bad timing. Some of them are just plain evil. But in this case, I actually felt sorry for Wade. I mean, he was kind of put in a corner. I don't know. I sympathize. I don't know if this is because George Hamilton is such a likable guy. Maybe that's what rubbed off. I don't know, but I actually felt sorry for the murderer.
Really? Are you serious?
Because Bud was such an ass.
Oh, he was an asshole. He was an asshole. I mean, down to the fact where he tells him you can't smoke in here, and then he blows smoke in his face. I mean,
I love that.
He was a freaking asshole. He was an asshole.
Yes.
And he was such an asshole that I was surprised that he owned a golden retriever. I'm like, that's not a Bud Clark dog. He can't have a golden retriever. Only nice people have golden retrievers.
Aw.
But
Well, that golden retriever had some of his own issues.
Yeah.
Or she had her own issues.
oh, that's right. It's a she. That's right. So Wade decides that he's going to get his hands on some nicotine sulfate or sulfite. I can't remember what it's called exactly. Poisons some cigarettes and killed.
Really
Bud.
quite clever. I mean, really a clever idea.
It is. It is a very clever murder. But he gets a little bit too carried away. He even, although it's set up to look like a heart attack. I mean, it's sort of, like the coroner says.
I know, yeah, and where he screwed up, I picked out. I guess being an ex-smoker,
Okay.
I picked out immediately. Well, not immediately, but when Columbo started looking at the ashtrays, because he was comparing ashtrays at the murder scene, I knew exactly what Columbo was looking at.
It was a mistake that only a non-smoker would make.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they established that too. That Wade was not a smoker.
Yeah.
He hates it, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And So and he also establishes an alibi, even though it doesn't. It's obviously he doesn't want it to look like a murder. He wants it to look like a natural death. But he establishes an alibi by going to his office and walking in and out, and then taking a so the surveillance tape picks him up, and then he takes a blank tape, and we know it's a blank tape because there's a sticker on it.
Label, yeah. And I want to say, from living from that time period in my life, those stickers don't come off like that.
They were like freaking chloroforms, or what are those called? Color forms. They just peeled right off. Yeah, because
you could not, man. If you did not put those stickers on perfectly within that little groove, you could not lift it back off. It'd rip. And I always hate it because I guess I'm ADD there in a way. Things have to look straight and perfect when it's on a shelf. I would try so hard to put those stickers on perfectly straight, and I'd always screw it. We'd either the bottom half would veer off to the off the groove part of the cassette tape. That would drive me crazy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I know that's like totally random thing to bitch about.
So
but.
yeah, it was hilarious. It made me laugh. There's 3 things in this that made me laugh. That was the first one. First of all, that he labeled his blank tape, and the second was that the stickers came off so easily. And but there's something that he does that I completely did not understand. So he kills Bud. Bud, he's sitting there talking to him in his house. He kills Bud, and then he goes to Bud's computer. And by the way, whoever wrote this either did not know how computers work, or just had to make it really easy for like old people to watch this, because when you hit the print screen button, it literally prints what's on the screen.
It's like, I don't remember doing that.
But it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
I think in computers still have print screen buttons, but that's not what
they
do.
It does a different function now.
It should really be called copy screen, not print screen. So he puts up. First of all, Bud's got this story about Wade Anders on his computer, he calls it like Crime Alert star in a porn film or something like that. So Wade deletes that file and puts another file in its place called Escape to Death, prints it out, and puts it on the desk so it looks like Bud fell on it while he was talking. Why did he do that?
Yeah, he didn't need to do that. He just could have left it up on the computer. I don't know.
But why put the Escape to Death story in there in the first place?
Yeah, because that was kind of one of the first clues for Columbo to kind of home in on.
Yeah.
That it, I don't know if I want to go into that much detail, but yeah, that was an issue where it didn't make sense how Bud would have gotten the printout.
Oh,
but anyways,
because his fingerprints weren't on the piece of paper.
Well, it was on one side.
But
how do you pull off a piece of paper without fingerprints on both sides?
And also the font that was used in the title of the article was different than all the other ones. But why put a fake news article in there called Escape to... I thought that maybe he thought it would look like suicide, but this obviously is not a suicide. It doesn't look like a suicide.
Yeah, I would have deleted the hit piece, and yeah, I don't even understand why that would have been important.
It serves only to provide two actually decent clues, and that's it. There's no reason for it. So Columbo comes on the scene, and hilarity ensues, I guess.
Yeah.
So I've got lots of things I like about this episode, and I've got lots of things I don't like. And I'm going to tell you, when I first saw this, I loved it, and every time I watch it again and again, I love it. And for some reason, watching it for this, and being critical about it, I just poked holes in it like Swiss cheese, because I thought that this was going to be like the best '90s episode that we watch, and I'm not going to give away my score yet, but I don't know. Give me your thoughts.
Well, I kind of like this episode because it's kind of technology based. Because it reminds me of what it was like in the early '90s. I mean, we had VHS tapes, like we discussed earlier. That was 120 speed. Do you remember the different speeds?
SP, LP, and SLP.
Yeah, and how because about that time I was probably recording Doctor Who off of PBS and using those cassette tapes, and so I was very familiar with the different speeds, the different lengths of time, like the 120s, which is what we used here. The 3.5-inch floppies.
Oh man, yeah, that was I forgot about that in here, but yeah.
I mean, it was just nice to reminisce about that time frame. It totally encapsulated that feeling of the early '90s. We even if we jump a little bit ahead, we see some dancers. There's
my God.
We mentioned of Roseanne Barr. So I know Roseanne worked for NBC back during that time period. It's like, okay, I'm sure somebody from the most popular TV show at that time went to the people at Columbo and said, okay, you got to mention Roseanne.
Something topical,
somehow.
Yeah.
You got to bring her up somehow. You got to do that, else no show.
She probably made them do it. She probably sent like a telegram. Hey, you got to mention me on Columbo.
She would have been a better murderer, I think.
She actually would have been. She would have been. If you see her in some of her kind of sort of dramatic roles, she actually would have been a cool murderer. And that I'm not joking at that. What does she do now? She ran for president.
She did?
Yeah, she ran for president. Not in this last election. Could you imagine if she won? Oh man.
Wow.
But now she sells macadamia nuts, I think. She has like a farm selling macadamia, and she had her own reality TV show about that for a while. But anyway, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to talk about Roseanne.
So off topic.
Well, remember when she was married to Tom Arnold, and they appeared in some magazine together where there was Anyway, oh wow, that's Mr. Peabody, turning the dial on the Wayback Machine a lot there. But
so Wade Anders, I mean, what a douche. He's obviously full of himself. They're going to, because he's like his TV program, this crime alert program, is like the most popular program on TV. And, everybody's kind of hinting to him, well, fame doesn't last forever. And he's like, well, I don't see why not. I'm doing it. And so he's got this really high attitude of himself. He's going to be interviewed by like TV Guide or something like TV Guide.
He's going to be on the cover. That's what they keep emphasizing that.
And then he's got his little runner, that little mini douchebag, getting his coffee. I kind of felt sorry for him.
I'd hate to work for Wade Anders. Could you imagine? And he's got a temper, too. I'll be right there! Yelling at people and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and he never has time for Columbo. You ever notice every time Columbo goes to talk to him, you've got 2 minutes.
Yeah. But you know what? I was disappointed in one aspect that I was disappointed is that he obviously has a temper. We see him lose his temper twice. I mean, he doesn't like completely lose it, but he yells. He never yells at Columbo. Yet he's obviously frustrated by him, but he could yell at him.
Yeah. Well, he's constantly trying to get rid of him. I think usually the murderer eventually tires of Columbo, but it seemed to me that Wade Anders was tired of him almost immediately.
Oh yeah.
I think their first meeting, he was willing to talk to him, but I think after that he was done. I think when he started noticing Columbo was piecing things together, like the fingerprints not being on the back of the paper printout. What was the other thing? He brought up about the nicotine filters didn't have the nicotine stain on them.
Well, he was acting most of the time with them. I mean, he was playing. He wasn't being the real Wade Anders. He was being Wade Anders, the host, like acting really interested, and he was probably genuinely interested because he's the murderer. Asking Columbo, oh really, oh wow, that's good work, Lieutenant. That's and kind of patronizing, but never loses it. But I love the scene where Columbo follows him to his office, and not only does he get in a little fender bender with him.
Oh, that is to me that was the best scene of the whole episode. I love that, and I don't know if that was intentional. I'd like to think it is.
Oh yeah, what do you mean?
You think it was intentional?
Oh.
So he could get into a fender bender with him.
But how would he know before then that the killer clue would be on his car? I think Columbo's just a really bad driver.
Yes.
But after that, he goes into his office and he says to the secretary, "Look, just help me get rid of him."
Yeah. That's what I would say, too. And she didn't do anything. The secretary was useless. I would have fired her. But no. So, yeah, I thought it was funny because, Columbo, after they get into the little fender bender in the little driveway, which, again, funny. That's a funny scene.
It's great. It's probably my favorite scene in the whole thing.
Oh, yeah. So Columbo's looking at the front of his car. He's like, I don't see any damage. You can buff that bumper out, no problem. And right on the hood, you can see there's a big old dent. And even Wade points that out. And then they go look at Columbo's car. You can't tell.
he points at the headlight. It's crooked. Oh, well, this is new. And
his bumper's all dinged up. I'm like, you can't tell what. Oh my god! And I don't know if it's just my imagination, Sean. Maybe help me with this. But so his car, what is that? What kind of car is it?
This is. I did not know this.
Starts with a P.
It's a Peugeot. It's a Peugeot, and I didn't realize. This is the first time I realized it's a 1950 Peugeot. So at this point, the car's probably 40-something years old.
Oh wow! So it's really a beat 'em up. So, anyways, I think the car changes color. I'm pretty sure it was yellow at one point, and now it's kind of like I wouldn't say gray. Yeah, I guess gray.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It
does change color. Okay.
I think maybe they use different cars. And one episode I remember from the 70s, there's these huge black marks on it, almost like they went a little over the top trying to. I don't know. I don't think it's ever yellow, but it's more of a. More of a light grayish. God, I don't know my colors, but yeah, and some light it does look yellow. You're right, but
yeah. And of course, what I thought was kind of a weak clue becomes a really important one later on is, Wade has got to establish his alibi, so he's going to doctor up a security camera. Or security footage, and of course the gardener who's trimming the hedges. That's his downfall. I mean, pure coincidence that happened to happen.
It's a good clue. You thought it was a weak clue?
I'll explain that when we get to the end. Why I thought that was the weak clue. But,
okay.
But it was interesting because you don't think anything of it. Honestly, the gardener says something while Wade walks into his office. I'm going to get it done today. He's been running behind.
No, he's a typical Mexican gardener. He's like, Mr. Anders, I will do. And that's not a very good Mexican act, but it's like a...
So if you would like to send your hate mail, attention Sean, what's that email address?
He goes, columboconfab@gmail.com. No, I will trim the hedges today, Mr. Anders. And then he says, thanks, Juan. Okay, so I do want to bring up one thing, and I say this because I'm sitting here watching it, and this part is up. So right before he kills Bud, He goes to his house, and just to prove that he has it, Bud plays a short clip of the porn that Wade was in.
Yes. And I like how it's all like, obviously it's been watched a lot. Because, on VHS tapes, they would wear out.
Well, it's a copy from an 8mm print.
No. I like to believe he watched it a lot. I understand that. But in my mind, I think that Bud watched it religiously since he got it.
Well, the thing that struck me was that the guy in the porno looks nothing like George Hamilton. Like, it was like, oh, just show everybody. It looks nothing like me. In fact,
why could he just say that? Go, that's somebody who looks like me. I don't know who that is.
In fact,
is it in the credits? Wade Anderson as Joe Stud.
No, the name of the guy who played it, I actually found his name on IMDb. He's a Greek guy. He has a very Greek name. Don't ask me what it is. But when I first saw him, I thought, oh, it's Tony Goodland from the Greenhouse Jungle. The victim from the last episode that we last. With
yes,
without the panty on his head, or maybe he did have panties on his head by the time that scene was done.
By the end, it was over. Yeah,
but
it seemed very tame for a porno.
It did.
Admittedly, we only saw like 30 seconds of it, but I mean, everybody's got a sex tape now, so if that happened today. Wade Anders would be totally fine.
Oh yeah. Colin Farrell, or is it Colin Firth?
Everybody does.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, Colin Firth. He doesn't have sex. Colin Farrell's the one. What's her name? And Tommy Lee. And there's a lot of them. Yeah. Rob Lowe. Remember Rob Lowe? Oh, that was a long time ago. That was like the first one.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think that was with a bunch of underage girls. Oh, that was the other. Oh, that's what was really going to incriminate him.
Oh, that's right.
Was the girl in the porno, the co-star, was underage.
I don't think she looked underage, but I'm just
for story purposes, they established. At the very beginning, we see this fake introduction with this lover and this wife of a doctor. And
wait, what are you going back to the beginning for?
Because in the middle of the episode, they do a follow-up. I used to love when Unsolved Mysteries would do the follow-up. It would be like breaking, do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do, do-do-do, they would be like, update, So that's what they're doing, an update scene. And they catch them, the lover and the... Now, okay, you said there's something you wanted to bring up.
Well, this is my second laugh out loud scene. Because not only will they catch them in the hotel room, and apparently, I just found it really funny that the scene that they show is the SWAT team breaking into the hotel room, and Don DeMarco, or whatever his name is in his underwear with his hands straight up while the girl's screaming. It just struck me as so stupid and out of place.
Why was he holding a gun?
I don't know.
Like, if he knew the cops were out there, yes. But they surprised him because obviously they were in mid...
And they mentioned that
why was he holding a gun? I don't understand this.
They killed her husband for his $5,000 life insurance policy. Yeah. Who has a $5,000 life insurance policy?
That's not that, even for the early 90s. I don't think that's that much.
Yeah, that was...
And I thought they were going overseas. I don't know.
Well, I think that maybe they probably smoked a little weed, drank a few beers, and probably their plans changed, and they ended up
at the hotel,
at a hotel in L.A.
Yeah, a really classy one.
I mean, come on, they killed a guy for $5,000. They're not exactly the brightest bulbs in the light bulb shop there.
So Wade is doing a recording of the update. He's on this rooftop, and he gets a message from one of the runners saying, "Oh, Columbo had to cancel because he's got a hot lead. He's following up." And a sigh of relief for Wade there. So he goes to get I guess he's getting a trim. So he goes to his trailer, and there's Columbo. Mm-hmm. And I like to think Columbo really is following up on his hot lead.
Oh yeah.
But when Wade says, "Oh, I thought you had a hot lead you were following up on," and Columbo says something like, "Oh, it didn't work out," or something like that. But I think he was actually, he was on his hot lead. He's after you, buddy.
That was part of his game. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, the next, in my opinion, the second funniest scene in the whole episode is when Columbo's about to get a haircut, and it's interesting because Columbo's hair is pretty wild throughout the first half of this episode. But after the scene, his hair is nice and neat and cut. And did you notice that?
I did not notice that.
They actually styled his hair. I don't know if he actually got a trim or if they just styled it for the second half.
I did not notice that at all.
Yeah.
There is that scene. I wrote something down. I wrote a note down about that scene. There's a joke. They asked, what's the difference between a barber and a hairdresser?
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
I don't know what Wade says. He says about
$50. Yeah. Yeah.
That is a joke that does not stand up well now because I don't think that's true. I am not a lady. I do not go to a hairdresser.
But you're not George Hamilton either.
Oh, this is true. This is true. I go to Supercuts, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. Well, yeah.
But they do have barbers. Have you ever gone to a barber?
I've never been to a barber. Whatever they are at Supercuts, stylists, whatever
those are different. You have to have a separate license to be a barber. And
really,
yeah. Because I know somebody who is a hairdresser, and she had to go and train to be a barber, and then she opened up her own barber shop.
Fascinating.
Yeah, and but barbers like nowadays are expensive. I went to a barber shop here in Austin, and it was like $25, $30.
Wow.
And if you want to shave, it's $40 with a straight razor. Check out. You've got that. You've got a chain. There's a chain called Finley's Barber Shop. You've got one there in Dallas. There's one here in Austin. That's the kind of prices they charge. I think it's a hipster thing too. I don't know. But anyway, I'm sorry.
I can see that. Yeah.
Okay, so we have.
And our sponsor today is Henry's Shaving Kits. If you want a smooth and clean, refreshing shave, don't go to the local grocery store to buy your razors. Order them online at henryshavers.com. If you order today, they'll throw in their specialty shaving cream, which will give you a nice, smooth, alloy feel.
Right.
Okay, we can continue.
Okay, all right. Okay. Henry's Shaving Cream. Actually, I'm a member of that, but anyway.
Are you? Yes, you are. You were in a magazine.
Yes, I'm a member of the Dollar Shave Club, and
that's what it was, Dollar Shavers Club. I couldn't remember the name of it. I completely forgot about
October of 2015. I was their member of the month.
So, and you don't even grow a beard, so that's what.
Yeah, I could go 3 days without shaving. No one would notice but me. It just bothers me.
I forgot about that. Wow. Well, you have to plug their stuff now.
Well, it's Dollar Shave Club. That's not Henry's. Henry's is a whole different thing.
Oh, really?
Anyway, I'm sorry.
Well, let me know when the royalty check comes in.
Yeah. Columbo.
Okay. So, no, I'm sorry. There's another funny scene. I think we may be jumping a little.
Okay. No, jump all over the place. Once we describe the beginning.
So the next funny scene, it's awkward funny.
I know what you're talking about.
Is when Columbo decides to go to the red light district of L.A., wherever he is. And there's a prostitute. I'm assuming she's a prostitute. I would assume she's a prostitute. I mean, she's just hanging around on the corner there. What does she say? Something like, "Want to show me what's under that raincoat, mister?" or something.
And he laughs, and then she laughs.
And then so he goes into the adult video store.
Another thing that doesn't exist anymore, I think. No, they do exist.
Oh, I bet they do.
They do. I've seen them usually out in the middle of bumfuck nowhere off the highway. But really? I think they primarily serve as private booths more than buying videos and magazines now. But
and that Columbo bumps into another guy wearing a very similar raincoat, buying his paper bag of goods. Who knows what's in there? I mean, it's probably what do you think? Handcuff,
I don't know.
Fuzzy handcuffs.
No idea.
A dildo,
muff cuffs.
Other muff cuffs. I don't even know the terminology. A dildo, probably the
and he's
really large ones.
He sees Columbo and he says, "Looks like we're both having a good time tonight." Now, I don't. Okay, so You remember back when we did Strange Bedfellows, and there was that scene where they kind of rough up Columbo a little bit, the gangsters.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they can't beat up Columbo. That's my Columbo. Well, I kind of feel the same way about somebody making little sexual remarks to my Columbo. Like, don't talk
I know,
to
and I
Columbo
wrote
like that.
I wrote that in my notes. It's kind of like figuring out that your parents or even your grandparents had sex. It's kind of like you don't want to think about it. I mean,
Yeah.
it must have happened at some point somehow. Maybe it was the alignment of Venus and Orion or something. I mean, I don't know. But it just doesn't. No, you don't want to think about it. There's no reason to think about your grandparents getting it on.
Yeah.
And it was kind of the same thing. I didn't really want to think about Columbo discussing sex or watching porn or. I know it was very, very awkward. It was an awkward scene.
Not something that he does. Yeah, you can't. Yeah. Oh, there's so much I want to talk about here. I've got an ace in my sleeve that I'm gonna bring out later on, but there's the I wrote down there was one problem that I had with this is that there's double dipping clues, which means you get to see Columbo solve something or find something out or look at a clue or explain a clue, and then later on he explains the same thing to George Hamilton. And he only did it twice. Yeah. And but it wasn't as bad as I can't remember what episode it was where they did it over and over again, and it drove me crazy. But there is one thing here I gotta call you on there, Steve. And that would be the pet shop scene, which first of all, it's funny. Because the line
that's another funny scene.
Okay,
sure.
He says
I forgot about that.
His dog goes in for a shampoo and a trim, and he pets his, you know where I'm going with this now. He pets the dog and he says, "There's not a dog in the place you couldn't have," and then the clerk or the stylist, whatever you want to call him, comes up and he says, "Oh, Mrs. Columbo said she wanted the whole treatment." Which means that if he talked to Mrs. Columbo on the phone, that Mrs. Columbo exists.
Okay, I can counter you.
Okay, I know what you're going to say. I know exactly. Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead. I would like to know what you think I'm going to say before I say it. What do you think I'm going to say?
I think that you're going to say that he wasn't talking to Mrs. Columbo. He was talking to Columbo.
On the phone. Peter Falk. I mean, Columbo was doing a female voice.
Yeah, which I can't picture, but.
No. Okay, here's my theory on this, and it's still places that Mrs. Columbo is fictional. Is the fact so that hairstylist? I mean, those pet stores, they don't make much, right? They've got to figure out ways to con you, and we painted your dog's nails red. Well, it's a boy dog, whatever. So I think the stylist knows that there is no Mrs. Columbo, but he says that because he's able to upsell Columbo on $20 more, and says, "Well, Mrs. Columbo wanted this," and Columbo
sir.
and Columbo be like, "Oh, okay."
No, sir.
Because the guy's like, "Yeah, Mrs. Columbo wanted him to have a bow, and she wanted you to pick up this specialty diet dog food that's $50 a pound." And she wanted you to also, I think he's in on it.
No, sir.
I think
no, sir.
The stylist.
No, because if he's in on it, as you say, if he's trying to pull the wool over Columbo's eyes, then how does he know that Columbo isn't going to go home and talk to his wife about that? And then he's going to have a very angry customer who probably won't return to get his dog.
Well, no, Columbo's not going to say anything because he knows he's been found out. He's going to be embarrassed. I mean, that's his kryptonite. His wife,
sir. I disagree.
So he's like, I'm just going to blame whatever.
Okay,
he knows. Columbo knows.
Whatever. You've gotten out
because
of this
when they go to the policeman's ball.
Oh yes. Okay, we've got to talk about that.
Where is Mrs. Columbo?
She was right here a second ago.
Was she in the bathroom, or is she somewhere in his imagination? I like to think the latter.
We got email about this, by the way. You and your.
I don't think she was in the bathroom. I think the women's bathroom at that ballroom was out of order.
All those women at the policeman's ball, and they can't use the bathroom. Is that what you're saying?
I'm just saying I don't think
whatever.
Mrs. Columbo went to the bathroom because there was no Mrs.
The policeman's ball, by the way, actually has my favorite line. It's not my favorite scene, but it has my favorite line in it.
What's that?
First of all, we get to see Columbo in a tux, which we get to see probably in maybe
Every so often.
it's like maybe 6 or 7 episodes, I bet you, in the whole run. He's in a tux, and I can't remember what they are off the top of my head, but they're out there. And he asks Wade where he got his shirt, and I have to admit it was a really damn fine shirt. I cannot get my shirts to be that.
Well, you get your shirts from North Korea. That's why you don't get them.
Well, it's
Italy.
a great line. Oh, it's Italian.
Wherever.
Shirt. Well, my shirt traveled twice as long, and it only costs $20 or something like that. I love that. It's a great line. That's a really cute line.
I don't even spend $20 on a dress shirt. Jeez. I was thinking.
Yeah,
I go to Sears or where
Oh, so you're the one that goes to Sears?
Yes.
Okay.
that's me.
Okay.
Just like Columbo. Don't you know Columbo goes to Sears?
Oh yeah. Oh, I bet you he loves Sears.
Oh yeah.
He is not a Walmart guy. He is a Sears guy. Yeah. Anyway,
So-
okay. So you have bungled my theory, my little Mrs. Columbo thing. I thought I was going to catch you, but you talked your way out of it the same way a murderer would talk Columbo out of his theory. Did you think about it when you saw it? Did it even occur to you? No, I thought I was going to catch it. No.
No. I knew this was going to come up, and so I immediately started thinking, well, how could this be? And I honestly, I really do, honestly believe that the style, whatever the who does dogs, I don't know what they're called, not stylists, whatever, dog washers. I think he knows he can say that shit, and he can upsell his customer $20.
Okay, all right, whatever.
And Columbo didn't seem upset by it. He got on the floor and he looked at Dog's little nails, and
I will let that sit because there are other episodes later on that are much stronger.
Really?
I'm just going to say, okay.
And what's with that lady? What a biatch!
I know,
Oh my
really.
God!
Yeah, you don't judge other people's dogs. That dog was being nice, and she's giving it the stink eye. That guy's loving his dog. Don't give attitude.
I like how he hands the dog leash off to her to go.
Oh yeah. He doesn't even say. Does he even say anything? Does he even say like?
Here, hold this. I think. But correct me if I'm wrong here. I didn't really feel like rewinding to make sure, but when Columbo is dialing the phone, I could have swore I heard a parrot say "hello."
Yeah, of course.
Before he actually picks up the phone and says hello.
I don't know, but
they've been rehearsing that, and the parrot said it, and I could just see the production team's like, just go with it. Let's just keep going. It's just
okay. So wait. I've got two things. I've got to mention two things. First, the second one is a question to you, but the first one is the actor who plays the coroner is we first see him at the crime scene.
I've seen him.
His name is Stephen Gilborn.
Yeah, where have I seen him?
I know him from two things, and then I looked him up on IMDb, and I was shocked to see that he was in something else. But I'm going to tell you what they are. First of all, he played back when Ellen DeGeneres had a sitcom. He played her father, and he was also on an episode of The Wonder Years, where he played Kevin Arnold's math teacher who dies.
That's right.
You remember that one?
Oh my gosh, I haven't thought of that in forever.
I know.
Yeah.
It made me cry when I first saw it. But most importantly, this is what I found out. You've seen Alien Resurrection?
Yeah.
He plays the voice.
I mean, a long time again, but yeah.
He is the voice of Father on the ship.
Really?
Yeah. You know how they have Mother?
Yeah.
Well, he's Father in that movie.
I thought that was stupid.
Oh, why do you have to? I like that movie, by the way. I'm the only person, but
Really? Well, I recently bought it, so I'm going to rewatch it again. I have problems with that. We're not talking about that. Moving on.
that could be like a 1 hour conversation there. Anyway, okay.
Trying to get me off topic here. So yeah, the dancers. I love the dancers.
They've got great.
There was one male dancer who took me a moment because I thought it looked like he was wearing a sports bra, but it was a guy.
It was really obvious it was a guy too, and I'm not talking about his handsome, rugged features.
You know who I speak.
Yeah,
I mean, the way he was wearing this top looked like a sports bra.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Moving on.
But all you had to do was look down, and you could tell it was a guy. I mean, I think they had the whole profile and the whole package and profile for a moment there. But okay, yeah. But I got an important question for you, Steve. We ask it every episode. When did Columbo suspect that Wade Anders was the murderer?
I think it was when, maybe during the first interview with Wade, when Columbo was saying, "Did you hear about Bud Clark's heart attack, or did you hear about Bud Clark?" He goes, "Oh yes, his heart attack." And Columbo asked, "What's your relationship with, or what was your relationship with Bud?" He goes, "Oh, well, he was jealous because everybody knows around here, he wanted this job, and I took it, and I won it, or whatever." And I think right there, boom, that was his. That was I think the one that kind of told him. I think that gave him a motive. Like, okay, it's obviously because they established early on that this was a murder.
Right there on the crime scene, that there was something hinky.
Yeah. When Columbo was there, I mean, he wasn't there more than a minute, and he already determined this is a murder. He was slowly putting the pieces together. But he knew right away with the cigarettes. But I think he figured out. I mean, I think he knew it was a murder right away. But I think he figured out it was Wade after when Wade made that, when he admitted that. How about you?
Well, I mean, there was the fact that he found out from Bud's secretary that he went to see Wade the day before he died.
Yeah.
But you know what? Lots of people who are killed go to see people the day before they're died, and that doesn't mean that person killed them. But I guess you're right. But I don't have any real. There's a lot of evidence, as you mentioned, that points to it being a murder. I mean, you've got the fingerprints on the paper and all that, but I don't really think that any of the evidence points directly to Wade until he goes to Wade's office and he sees that Wade uses the same font with the small cap.
Yes. Yes.
But that's way later in the episode.
It is.
And I think it would have been better if that was earlier in the episode. Would it have been like a gotcha clue? No, but it would have been something that he would have maybe given him a slight inkling. Like if this guy was murdered, it may have been Wade Anders. Yeah. But I had a little trouble, for the most part, trying to figure out when Columbo figured out it was Wade. Because there was a reason, obviously, that Columbo kept visiting him and telling him about all this stuff that he discovered. I just... And by the way, speaking of that, I love the scene first where Columbo. We're jumping all over the place in this, and I think that's okay. But where Columbo explains the clue about the fingerprints on the paper, and he does a little demonstration using Wade's own printer with the old dot matrix type paper.
Oh yeah, that was another early 90s thing that brought back some memories. Yep.
And the scene ends really cool. And Wade says something like, he's got this piece of paper in his hand, and the way that George Hamilton does it, he's flipping it over. He goes, well, this is very interesting. Let me know if you come up with something else. And he walks down the hallway towards his office, and the camera is facing his back, and we see him crumple up the piece of paper in his left hand as if he's frustrated, although we don't actually see him being frustrated.
Yes.
Which we see later on at the end when Columbo's going to explain the clue about the hedges. And we have it's called Two Faces East. Whenever you've got two actors facing the camera, usually it's done in like a mirror. But he goes to put the tape in the VHS player, in the video player, and we see his face, and he's like, "What the fuck is he talking about? What clue is he talking about that I haven't caught on to?" Yeah. And he realizes that he's in for it. That this is going to be
the scene right before that when Columbo's coming on set. You know the show's about to wrap up. I'm not watching the time. I'm not looking at how much time's left on the
Yep.
on the disc or anything like that, you know the episode's about to wrap up when Columbo is walking into a room with a paper bag, and you see the cops. He's with a group of police officers.
Yep.
Because that's his backup.
Yep.
Because they're about to do something.
That's gonna be it.
You know. Okay, I've got 5 minutes left of the episode.
Yep.
It's so funny because I texted you earlier, say, "Hey, can we do a little earlier tonight?" And you said it's almost done. Sure, or I think it's almost done.
No, I said let's
bet you-
start in like an hour. I'm still watching it, and then right after that was the part. Literally, you're absolutely right. That's exactly what happened. Was the part where he comes. I'm like, oh, this is the end. Yeah, we can start.
Yeah, it's going to be over 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Because I'm not watching it. I enjoy these. I mean, the episode could be 30 minutes for all I know. I mean, But yeah, when I see certain things starting to fall into place, I know okay, it's wrapping up. Columbo walks into the room. Wade is sitting in his little star chair, his Hollywood chair, and he's going over. And Columbo says, "I watched the tape."
Yep.
And Wade goes, "What?" Because he's thinking he watched the porn tape when he's and Columbo said the security tape.
Yep.
He goes, "Oh, okay."
I did not catch that. You were absolutely right.
I
Wow.
thought it was fun. I mean, yeah, I'm sure Columbo did watch the tapes, both of them. But...
Huh. Wow.
Quick question for you: at the policeman's ball, Columbo pulls Wade aside, but before he does, he hits the hors d'oeuvre platter. What kind of sandwiches do you think were on those little mini sandwiches? What sandwiches were on that platter?
Oh man, I want to say cucumber sandwiches, but that's probably not right because this isn't in England.
I thought egg salad sandwiches.
Because Columbo would love egg salad. Columbo strikes me as an egg salad
That
type of guy.
when could not resist. He's about to go talk to Wade because Wade said you got 2 minutes. So he's got very limited time, but he saw that he's like, oh, I gotta shut this down for 10 seconds. Like, give me some of these little egg salad sandwiches.
I mean, we know he loves hard-boiled eggs. He keeps them in his
Yeah,
pocket,
exactly.
along with the dog biscuits, that he keeps handy. That's about the end scene. I really laughed when at the end there when he's basically grilling George Hamilton, and the kid was just out of nowhere walks in with
is that a pun because he's so brown?
Very good, sir, very good. And the kid walks in with the dog out of nowhere.
Oh, Randy.
Yeah,
Randy.
And George Hamilton's like, "What the fuck? What are you doing here?"
he
really does have this like, "What the fucking fuck" on his look on his face. Because that's what Columbo does. You ever notice he just gets these random people and confronts like the cab driver in Alex Brady's house, like just shows up at his house. He's got those people that saw the body fall.
We did this in Etude in Black. I mean, it was a little girl.
That's right. That's right.
The dog.
Yes. That's absolutely right. Wow.
What my thought was when I saw Randy, the young boy there, I thought he must be related to the director, like the director's son or the producer. Or, I don't know.
Maybe.
There was no need for Randy to be there.
No, because the dog belonged to the victim. It was just this lovable big old dog. It's got a lot more life than Columbo's dog, as he says when he meets the dog. But
Sheba.
Sheba, that's right.
Yeah.
I think it's more of a cat's name. I don't know.
Yeah. Where are we going with this?
I don't know where we're going with this. Let's. Do you have anything to say about anything else to say about this?
Yeah, one last thing. Okay, so what I so far don't like about these '90s episodes is they seem to wrap up. They don't make much sense story-wise. Now we know why Columbo suspects Wade when we see all the clues. The cigarette filters are not yellow. The cigarette butts aren't bent; they're straight. What else? There's poison in the cigarettes. What's some of the other the VHS tapes with the hedges, the bushes are there's a discrepancy there on the VHS tapes. The paper font, like you mentioned earlier, fingerprints on the paper. there's a whole bunch of clues that really kind of nailed it down in my mind that Wade is the murderer. But the one thing that shuts Wade up and puts the case to bed is dog scratches on the door.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's it. He just says that one thing. Wade doesn't say anything. The cops come and collect him and walk him out. End of episode. I'm like, what the hell? That was not... I wanted to hear more.
Yep.
What was the one we watched where the guy, the orchestra guy who the guy who was on the elevator...
Oh, Murder with Too Many Notes, where it's just like, okay, let's go. I'm going to go to jail. Bye.
Yeah, it was like that. But I thought the dog scratches thing, that was another good clue, but that was the only thing that was said.
But it's a killer clue because he asks him right before he reveals
You're
positive you've never been to his house. And then he comes out with, of course, his defense attorney later on could say, oh, by the way, Mr. Anders was at Mr. Clark's house this one time in 1989.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I thought it was a good clue. But you're right in the way that it just suddenly just everything shut down. He says, a dog, man's best friend. And then Columbo says, a dog. And then roll credits. You're right. It's very abrupt. And there are some episodes that end like that, but they're effective. One of them is the first episode that I showed you called Playback, which has something in common with this, in that you have there is a scene, and it's the Hedges clue, where Columbo was looking at two screens, one before, one after, and he's trying to look at the differences between the two. They don't give the audience a long time to really look at it, and the audience to play along. But I like that they did that. That's really cool. I'm sorry, I'm going away from your point, but I agree with what you said. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Oh, I just have one final note.
Yes.
Bud Clark, our victim, does not seem like the type of gentleman who would enjoy show tunes that are Dirty Dancing soundtrack.
Yes,
and the Thompson Twins.
I did. That's right. Yeah. What I put in my notes here: Dirty Dancing and West Side Story.
Yeah, and the Thompson Twins, which is a
Really?
real band. I never heard of them. I had to look it
You
up.
never heard of the Thompson Twins?
No, I'm not a music guy. I'm a movie guy.
Are you kidding?
No.
You're from you. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, wow. I thought everybody knew the Thompson Twins.
No, I totally don't. I feel ashamed.
Oh, did you like the fact that Columbo... Well, let's rate it. Let's go ahead and rate it.
Okay.
And then we'll
All
talk
right.
about
All
what we
right.
liked and didn't like. Okay, so I'm going to pull a random number here. I bet see if you can figure out where I got it from. It is in the episode. What would you rate this 1 out of 500,000?
Wow. I really like this episode, so I'm going to give it a... it's almost perfect. I'm going to give it a... 422,913.
4,200 what?
No, 422,913. I don't even know if that was the same number that I just said, but yeah.
I don't know. That's crazy.
Under
Okay.
500,000.
Well, okay. What was so awesome about it then?
Okay, so you went last time. I'll go this time. I really enjoyed this. I think this is probably the best 90s episode that we've watched so far.
Really?
And I love clues, as you know. And this is chock full.
I love clues.
Yeah, this is chock full of good clues. I mean, there are some real killer clues. It's almost perfect to me. I love it. I was disappointed in that George Hamilton and Peter Falk did not have as good as chemistry as some of the other Columbo murderers. They spend a lot of on-screen time together, but they somehow, as a murderer, and I don't know if this is the script, the director, or the actor, that I think that Hamilton could have spent some more time being more... Well, this is the script, being more exasperated at Columbo. I like the clue at the end with the dog. I thought that was great. I think that was a... I don't know how he's going to get past that. I mean, I think about, the trial afterwards, and and whether or not the killer's attorney is going to be able to get them off.
Yeah, that would be an interesting follow up. Like Matlock takes on the case or something like that. Has to.
Yeah.
Because sometimes how some of these stories end, I think a lawyer could easily get his person off.
On the website that I talked about, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, about the Ultimate Lieutenant Columbo fan site. They actually have a little column in there about each murderer and whether or not they would end up going to prison or if they would get off at trial.
Do the majority of them get off?
I think probably, yeah. I think out of all the ones that we saw, the one that's going to get off the most is probably that lady from Lovely But Lethal, because that one, I'm not buying it. But yeah, I think this was pretty strong. I was disappointed in that there were not a lot of Columbo-esque moments, except for the scene with the fender bender, which was hilarious and one of my favorites. I was, but I just think it was really strong. There was something about it, however, that was a little askew. I felt like, and it was when it was over, I was like, "Is that it? Is that it?" Like, it ended too abruptly. You're right. But they took great pains, and I'm going to bring this up again. They took great pains to establish that George Hamilton was a douche before the murder even occurred. But after that, he didn't spend a lot of time being that douchey. I mean, he really didn't. I mean, despite the fact that he looks like a fucking douche, he really did not spend that much time acting douchey. So that was a problem with me, that they could have done more with his character. But I really like this one. I've always liked this one, and I've never looked at it with a critical eye before, and I think it passed the scrutiny.
Passed muster. Huh?
Yeah, passed muster. So what about you, sir?
All right, so out of 500,000, by the way, that's the the inheritance from the beginning of the episode. The life insurance is 500,000. So out of that number, man, I really wish I would have liked this as much as you, Sean.
Really?
I'm going to be the opposite here. I'm going to give it like 100,000.
Oh my God! Really? But the way that you talked about it just now, you seem like you liked it so much.
Because I love talking about this show.
Okay, all right.
But I didn't really enjoy this. I found it very slow, dry.
Oh, wow.
Now, yes, there were scenes I enjoy, and I'll specify which ones. So, yeah, the car scene, like you discussed, that was hilarious. The pet store, that was great. The part with what's the difference between a barber and a hairstylist, and I like the whole sequence in the adult store. I thought those were great. Those are all funny. Those are all Columbo-centric. I just didn't. I didn't like how it ended. I felt like missed opportunity there. I didn't really. George Hamilton has great presence on camera, on screen, but I just didn't. I don't know. Like the other characters, like Max, the producer, his runner, some of the other characters, I just didn't. I don't know. It just didn't do anything for me. I think what really burned me was the ending. I really didn't like that, and I got really the two notes one frustrated me, and that is, to me, that's the worst Columbo ending ever.
Which one? Yeah.
The two notes.
And many
this
people
one reminded me of that,
really?
And I didn't like it.
But it made sense. It was abrupt, but it made sense.
I know, but I guess I feel like it's missing that final beat, that final step that makes you feel good.
Yeah, you're right. It did. It totally did. Yes.
So I don't like that. It just.
But you can't.
It's kind of like listening to a song, and then the last few lyrics ruin the whole song for you.
But hearing this from you, it sounds like you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater, and you're gonna hate the whole thing just because of a minute at the end.
Yeah, I just you know what I've seen enough and I enjoy them, but I would say this is my least favorite Columbo right now. I can change my mind.
Really?
But so far I dislike this one the most.
Oh my god! I can't believe it. I don't understand where you. This is great. I mean, I think the episode is great, but the fact that you disagree, I don't understand where you. Okay, this is interesting because the Just One More Thing podcast watched this, and they hated it as well. And I was like, how could you hate this episode? This is a perfect Columbo episode. It's got the laughs. It's got a pretty good murderer. It's got a clever murder.
It's the weakest one, and I would never. There are other Columbos. I've watched certain Columbo episodes more than once. I have no intention to ever watch this again.
Really? Wow. Yeah. See, this is one that I would show people that never saw Columbo. And I'd be like, this is what the formula is. And this is a clever one. Watch this. Wow.
Huh. Sorry.
I don't know if it's because I saw it when it was first on. Oh, wow.
Maybe it's more of a nostalgia thing for you.
For me, it just all clicks for the most part.
Wow, yeah. No,
and I'm not disagreeing with you about the end, but that doesn't ruin it for me.
I just feel like it dropped the ball. It had the opportunity to be great, but I feel like it dropped the ball.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I gave points off of it because of the characterization of Wade and the stupid clue. Well, it's not a stupid clue, but the death escape to death article being there. Why is that there? That didn't make any sense. And the ending, as you said, the way it was so abrupt, which is a direction issue. That is not a script issue. Wow.
Yeah, because the earlier stuff, they explain all the clues, why Columbo thinks what he thinks. I guess I just like that. It's more satisfying.
But they do that here.
I know. I don't. Okay. I don't think they do.
Okay. All right.
I feel like they don't.
All right. Well, that's fine. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd be really curious to hear what you think about this episode and whose side you're on. I suspect that I am in the minority, although I don't understand why. You can email your thoughts about that to columboconfab@gmail.com. I'm really sad that you. I was watching this and I'm like,
you were so excited.
I'm like, oh, Steve's gonna love this. Steve's gonna love this. No.
Yeah, It had dog. It had dog in it. I love dog. He's a highlight. But yeah, even dog couldn't save it.
Do you know what's really scary is that the night that I introduced you to Columbo, this was probably one of the top 5 that I would have showed you. So that would have changed everything. That would have changed everything.
I'm so glad you did.
And I am so sad. I thought, this is the one that's going to make Steve like 90s Columbo.
I still have not seen a 90s Columbo that I just love. So far, what we've seen,
you saw one that we haven't talked about yet.
We reviewed 3 of them, right?
No,
4,
5 of them.
I don't think I've seen one yet that I just knocks me out of the earlier stuff is so much better. It's such better quality.
What about the one
with better
with
writing, better Columbo characterizations, better murderers, the guest stars?
What about Fisher Stevens? You like that one?
Yeah, okay. I did like that one. Yeah, that okay. That to me so far is the best out of the pack. But it is still it's a different. It's a different show. Okay. Of course, obviously it is. I mean, 20 years different.
I don't know.
Right?
Well, okay. See, I look at it like I'm going to bring this up again. Doctor Who. Okay, to me, it's all the same show. Okay. Yeah. The old Doctor Who and the new Doctor Who, and there's a lot of shows like this. There's Battlestar Galactica. There's I don't know. I can't. There's a handful of them, but to me, it's all the same show. I can't help it, but it's okay. You're entitled to your opinion, even though you're wrong. I'm being an ass. Okay, so this is the time at the show where we read email. And
yes, we got emails. This is our first.
We have 2 emails. 2 emails that we got this week.
And by the way, you have been telling me our download numbers, which have been spectacular. Mm-hmm. I'm really surprised. I mean, I don't like to give out our numbers publicly, but let's put it this way: our numbers are probably 10 times more than I thought they should be.
Yeah, they.
I mean, it's really incredible. We've really. In the you haven't released all our episodes at this point. So as a recording, you've only released 3 episodes of the first season?
No, 5. The last one.
Okay, season 1 is completely out.
Yeah.
So we are hitting really sweet spot. I think.
Yeah, people are listening to this.
Yeah.
Which means that there is a niche, a need for Columbo podcasts. But by the way, folks, we see the numbers, but only 6 of you have left reviews on iTunes. So we need more of that. Please leave more reviews on iTunes, especially if they're 5-star reviews. And we have 2 emails. And just FYI, these folks that wrote the emails, if you're wondering why we're getting to them so late, it's because at the end of episode 5, which was Etude in Black, we gave out our email address. We have recorded episodes 6 through 9 already as we're recording this, and so we just got the emails now, and it's September 1st, I think. September 1st? No, September 2nd. So, all right. So I'm going to read the first one that we got here. This is from M. Alvarez Diaz. Okay. This person, I don't know if it's a man or a woman, but I will call it a man because I guess I'm misogynist. I don't know. But he also left comments on our main Libsyn page. He says, awesome podcast. Watched and enjoyed all 5 on my tablet. My only suggestion is to adopt the more common and easier to understand 1 to 10 scale rating as in the first episode. Can't wait to listen to the next episode. Keep up the good work. Thanks.
Yeah, so with the crazy number scheme has come from our other podcast, which it's more of a tongue-in-cheek kind of podcast. So we kind of carried over that tradition to this one, even though this one's a little bit more serious. But if people prefer a more structured 1 to 10, which I can understand that, you want to know really what we're how we rate everything compared to how to rate it compared to the last 5 episodes. We can do that, but I think this would be a great opportunity to email us and let us know because, it's funny. The reason we do the kind of crazy numbers or why we've done it with the other podcasts because we enjoy the show. I mean, it's kind of weird to say, "Oh, I hate this episode." It's more of just kind of a general way to kind of say we didn't enjoy it, but we really love it still. Mm-hmm. So if people like the crazy numbers, like what we did tonight, let us know. Email us. Say, hey, I like the how you do that. It's different from how other people do it. Or if you want something more structured, so you can kind of follow along better. I think it's a great opportunity for people to email us and let us know what they think. And whatever we get the most responses for, I think we go with.
And for the the first 3 people that email about this, I'll take 2 out of 3. We'll do it that way. And for the record, if you are, what I do, sometimes Steve throws out these numbers, 491, and I roll my eyes. I'm like, oh, shit. Because I actually have a number in my head from 1 to 10 already. But what I do is Steve throws out the number. I divide it up by 10 and then multiply it by however much in 10 that I think it is.
You've got a.
I've got a system. Oh God, we've been doing the other podcast to try to stab him for years. I've got a system down. So, all right, our next email is from a gentleman named Leland, who I may be pronouncing his name right. Who you have never met, Steve, that I know of, but you may have, and we don't remember. But he is a big fan of our TARDIS Tavern podcast, and I remember meeting him at a convention a couple of years ago. I was blasted, and
you remember?
Yeah, wow. I remember exactly. So he actually has a really sweet email. Listen to this. He says, "I'm writing to say that I listen to and enjoy the podcast. My dad introduced me to Columbo with the 90s episodes. See, he was 90s episodes first.
Wow.
And I caught up on the 70s episodes shortly thereafter. I'm guessing I caught most of the old episodes on daytime syndication in Southern California during summers in the 90s, along with Simon and Simon, etc. We would play outside during the back-to-back episodes of Matlock. Because that's when Gramps and Grandpa Simpson came in.
That's right.
and this is important, Steve. This next paragraph is important. By the way, I consider all of Columbo's references to his wife to be completely truthful and beyond reproach, even in cases where they may appear to contradict. Looking forward to when you tackle my favorite episode, which he doesn't mention. Well, we haven't tackled my favorite episode either. But sorry to hear neither of you will be at Galley 1 this year. If y'all know what Galley 1 is, great. I'm not going to explain it now. But Leland. Okay, very good. We appreciate that a great deal. That's really awesome. And
even though he's completely wrong about Mrs. Columbo. I do want to say this. You sent over some information earlier this week, speaking of cons. So there's a Columbo Convention next year. Somewhere in upstate New York, right? Mm-hmm. So nobody's told us about it. I think you just discovered it by accident, right? On Facebook or
it was on Twitter.
On Twitter, okay.
Yeah.
But yes, so apparently there is a Columbo Con, and if we can plug something for the show, what's the name of it, by the way? Do you have the dates?
No. I'm not entirely... See, this is the thing. I would have mentioned it, but I'm not entirely sure if it's a official Columbo convention or if it's more of a mystery convention with Columbo as the headliner. Because they have a lot of mystery writers and talk and panels about mysteries. That's the plan. But I am not entirely sure. Also, I've heard contradicting things. I have heard that there's going to be one in London, but the one in New York at a town that I can't remember the name of, it starts with an O, but I think it's Peter Falk's birthplace. They reported it in their paper, or at least in their online paper. But it's
they said they're going to have like Dabney Coleman. I mean, I don't know if that's true, but
maybe that's. I think that's just at the moment wishful thinking, or they hope. I don't know.
Oh, well, that'd be awesome.
But yeah, Dabney Coleman was a Columbo murderer.
He was. He was also a sergeant, and I can't remember what episode. But
it's the one. The one with the twins. Double shock.
Oh yes.
Okay.
I love that one. I loved his character, that sergeant character. Yeah. I can see him as a murderer. Sure, he's got that.
So yeah, I think we'll provide more details. That is because I'm a little skeptical. I'm not going to drop my however many dollars it is to take a flight to New York. As those of you who know us, we're in Texas, and
bit of a drive.
Yeah, and what?
It's a bit of a drive.
Oh, I thought you said we'll get drunk. I'm like, get drunk already.
Well, yeah. If I'm flying to New York for a Columbo Con, yeah, there's going to be drinking. But
yeah, drinking and hopefully. Anyway, I'm not going to say anything else. Okay. Yeah, as you can tell, Steve and I have been to our fair share of cons and have many stories. All right, I think it's time, Steve, for you to roll this. Oh, wait! Before we do this, this is our last episode of season 2. So it will be a little while before we come back. Probably not a lot. The last episode of season 1, I don't think there was going to be that much of a break in between season 1 and season 2. I think it's going to be the same for season 2 and season 3, because I think that Steve and I, and if I may speak for you, sir, are enjoying this immensely.
Yes.
And we'll continue bringing you more Columbo. So so there will be a small hiatus, perhaps for a month, after this episode, and then when it comes back, we will present you with 3 more 70s episodes and 2 90s episodes. So
season 3.
Yeah, the opening of season 3 shall be, and Steve, swing the swinging wheel of 70s.
And I am a swinging. Here we go.
You know, it's really a wheel, not wheel, so you probably don't have to swing. Maybe I'm misspeaking. Yeah. All right.
Now you tell me.
All right. So it is going to be It is going to be our first Robert Culp episode, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be The Most Crucial Game, starring Robert Culp as the general manager of a football team.
Oh yes, I just recently. Okay, yeah, I texted you about that one. Yes, with the ice cream truck.
Yep, with the ice cream. Hey, mister, can I have an ice cream? Hey, mister, wait! Yeah, Robert Culp.
Yeah, Robert Culp's my favorite villain. The joke is, to me, in my mind, is how many times does Columbo have to put this guy away?
Apparently 3 times. Although he's not the most prolific Columbo murderer. That would be Patrick McGowan, is 4 times. Which is interesting because this episode, George Hamilton, that's the first time that we've struck somebody who was, more than once a Columbo murderer. So,
and Stockwell, Dean Stockwell's in this as well. Mm-hmm. He's in another one. He's in another Columbo. I can't think what it is.
Troubled Waters in the cruise ship. Why do I know this?
That's right.
Why
it was on the cruise ship one.
Why do I know this shit off the top of my head?
I don't know. It's amazing.
And isn't Valerie Harper in this? Anyway.
Well, what cracks me up, ladies and gentlemen, before we close, I was going to say, I don't really know the Columbo episodes that well. Like, I can't. If you were to say a title, I couldn't tell you what it's about. I would have to need a little bit more. But Sean, on the other hand, is very minimal on what he needs to know to name a title. For example, I had texted you, I'm watching a Columbo episode, and I actually feel sorry for the murderer. And I don't know how you figured out from that text alone.
You said the ending was depressing.
Oh, the ending was depressing.
And I said, it's Forgotten
and you
Lady,
named it.
Forgotten
Once or twice. You named it the first try what I was watching. And I swear to God, I thought you had bugged my home. Because I don't know how you were able to figure it out. But I could just mention one little aspect of an episode, and you can hone in on that, and you know the title. That's amazing to me. You know your Columbo.
And this is how I let it out.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to us.
And have a good night. And we'll see you next time when we talk about Robert Culp. Bye-bye.